I got sick again, or I relapsed. Welcome to Still Plays. This is a Conquest video, and we are, of course, working towards Satele Shan for Conquest 22. Today is Sector 3. We're going to look at that feat progress, the squads I utilized for those feats, and we have some diversions today. There's what I planned out and what I think I should have done. Didn't do it in the moment because I wasn't really thinking, but we will cover that, then look at the data disks that we accumulated, some of my thought process, and then wrap up with the boss nodes. And the bosses were, maybe one of them was a little bit more difficult, maybe everything's blurring together. Global feat progress, not too much of note, maybe one or two things worth noting. Accuracy up, no changes. We have made progress on bounty hunters, but we capped out. We got a little low on stamina. Keller and Beck, maybe one or two, I forget, and then we did wrap up evasion down. For the Sector 3 feats, we accomplished 3 out of 4, depending on how quickly you play through this. 4 out of 4 is possible if you played a little slower so your stamina can recover. I was hitting a lower limit at about 40% on the bounty hunters with Forlom and Zuckus here, and once I got too low, I wasn't able to continue beating teams with their squad. At least the squad that I was using, I was not using an optimal Forlom and Zuckus squad. Because of these other feats here, we do have one for no attackers in the squad. That one I was combining with Forlom and Zuckus, which severely weakens their team. Then we have SM33 surviving. This is where I have my biggest diversions, and then tenacity up. That one shouldn't even be a concern of yours too much. That one's pretty much going to happen automatically. We'll talk more about it. Sector 3, these are primarily the squads that I was utilizing, although there are a number of nuances and variants here, some of which we will get into. Forlom and Zuckus can utilize Bosk, Cad Bane, and Grief Karga. This will give you a no-attacker bounty hunter squad. There are actually not a ton of bounty hunters that are going to be options. Most of them are attackers, but this squad is going to cap out around 40 to 50%. At that point, it's no longer going to be winning battles. What you can do is you can either throw them in with Jabba as a leader or just Jabba as a fifth. Jabba combined with Zealous Ambition can one-shot characters, so it becomes effective, but you won't necessarily finish with a lot of stars. This is actually something I could have done to finish off the last couple battles, but I didn't. And I didn't because I got too distracted with pirate squads, and here's the mistake I made. You shouldn't be using pirates in Sector 3. This is what I did, not what you should do. And the reason I did this is because Ithano, under his leadership ability, you do get tenacity up on, as a consequence of his leadership ability, you start the battle with 5 tenacity up. So it is an effective way of accumulating a decent amount of tenacity up. And it also functions to get all of those battles with SM33, who you can't do no attacker with, so there's no way to double up on that feat, because he is an attacker. The problem here, though, is in Sector 2, you used pirates, and you're going to need pirates in Sector 4, so depleting their stamina in Sector 3 is not going to be the smartest move. What you should do instead is just use SM33 with Afra, because then Afra is going to allow you to have wins with SM33, and you're only depleting the stamina on a single pirate, giving your pirates time to recover their stamina from Sector 2 so they're ready for Sector 4. Unfortunately, that's not what I did, because in the moment I forgot about Sector 4 and I just used all my pirates. As I was getting a little bit lower on stamina, I just started switching up my pirates, and it really messed me up for Sector 4, and it's gonna be part of the reason why that we're gonna not have as many of these videos released at the rate that I would like. Data disks, I did make some minor changes. I brought in solid intel that was already in the inventory from Sector 1 or Sector 2, but I didn't want to lose any of my energy by swapping things out, so I left it out, but certain defeat was just eating up space and not being useful. And I upgraded my Zealous Ambition. I had a green one before, boosted it up to the blue. Overall, though, there's not much notable with the discs I grabbed. They were pretty weak throughout Sector 3. For Sector 3, I did say you don't need to worry too much about the tenacity up feat from your other squads, and that is because in the boss nodes you are going to make some significant progress, and that is with Boss Nass surviving and Omega Fugitive surviving. They both throw up a bunch of tenacity up. Now for this squad, you can see I was depleted on Fugitive and Batcher from the previous sector, so I did throw on a consumable to make them a little bit more survivable. I was finding that they were getting knocked out pretty quickly without it, and it was preventing me from actually beating it at just that 55 unadulterated. I'm going after Royal Guard first because I know he's going to taunt anyway, and that's going to break my chain that I'm building up with the target practice. I think that's what it's called. So I'm just going after Guard first, getting a little speed up, and then because I have leaders resolved, that's why Omega's out from the stealth right now. Something possibly to not have on there. But with the added help, we take care of Royal Guard pretty quickly. Then we had an AoE or something took out Mara Jade, Palpatine falling down quick. I could have gone after Vader instead of Tarkin, but Tarkin just looked easier at the time. Nothing to really point out about the Gungans. This is pretty default. You can see I've got Relic 5 on my Gungans. They're nothing special, just like the minimum viable that you're going to need for the raids that we've been having. Not a team that I utilize all that, well, not for too much in Grand Arena. I do use them fairly regularly in Grand Arena. They are a cheap counter to a couple teams. But same deal, going after Royal Guard first, because he's going to mess things up anyway. Mara Jade goes down to the Zealous Ambition and some of those AoE debuffs. Or did I? Yeah, I didn't throw on Amplify Agony yet. You have Palp going down early too. Taking out Vader, taking out Tarkin. This one's automatic, and there's no stamina issues going into it like with Fugitive. For Cadme, at the final boss node, we have win with Darth Vader surviving and win without using any Empire characters in the squad. This is another one where I've been saying throughout all of this, get your Kelleran battles in when you can. This is one of your opportunities. And so we begin with Kelleran. All this stuff is easy. This CG just gave us way too easy of a conquest. I think most people hate this game mode. I don't mind it. I like it being a little bit of a challenge. I also try to make it maybe a little bit more of a challenge. You can see with the Shatter Point, I just went after Cadme early and knocked her out, and it's trivial. Then having to do mass assist to just deal with the decoy quickly. We'll trigger an Anakin attack in a moment, right there. Finish off the decoy. Anakin gets another turn, and now we'll just work on knocking him out so we don't need to worry about any more of those turns. And then, do I auto? I should auto. But the mechanics of Mace Windu and his squad also make this easy. Now, this is something where if you don't have Mace, you just use a different Kelleran squad. They have enough attacks where they should do okay. Plus, especially if you have Jocasta. Now, for Vader, I opted to go for this just to show a different version, because if you have Lord Vader, it's going to be automatic. It's not going to be as interesting. I wanted to go with some weaker characters, but then I threw, not weaker, but more common characters and show that's still viable. I threw in Third Sister to have a tank in there, but really it kind of negates some of the larger point I was trying to make. with this, because I could have gone on easy mode and did like Aphra or Lord Vader, but I want to show players who may not have those characters that this would still be beatable. Now, I don't think Third Sister was required for any of this, but I probably shouldn't have used her if I wanted to make that point. But this goes quick. With all the data discs, we're just overpowering everything. I did the saber throw there just because I knew with the amount of debuffs there were, that was a one-shot, and I'd get a bonus turn. I did that to make sure we got the Dispel on Cadme. Now we're just waiting for that damage immunity to come off. But it's done, and that is it for Sector 3. I still got Sector 4 to play. We're slightly behind. At least we're not behind overall, but we're behind on the pace I wanted to be making. But then again, that is why we have in the corner, we have the feat overview video for the entire Conquest. So if you're ahead of me, refer to that. That one's not getting a lot of traction. You guys are watching more of the Sector 1 and Sector 2 videos. It's probably a consequence of me putting out that feat overview video a week early. So the algorithm is not finding it. But if you're ahead of me, check that out. Otherwise, we will be back tomorrow for Sector 4 and hopefully Sector 5. Thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.